Right, everyone. Again, thank you very much for taking the time this evening to join us. And again, it's a parents' meeting to go over the recently released exciting press release that again goes over the relationship that Cliff Avenue's got with Mountain United. So before we get to that press release, I'll just go over a couple brief introductions. We've got a couple very important technical staff people on the call here. Nico, who's been at the club for 5 years now. And he's the current head coach at Cliff Avenue from U6 to U10. He's completed his children's license with the CSA, which is like one of the highest licenses you can get in the country working with this age group. And then, of course, you'll have seen him with the junior academies, the U8, U9s, and he's also heavily involved with our U10 academy. And yeah, that's Nico. Anything I've missed there, pal?
No, yes, I want to add a couple of things like regarding my background, like a little bit. A part of coaching soccer, my background, like I'm PE teacher. I've been teaching in schools back in my country, in Chile. And also I have all my coaching certificates from my country, my professional coaching certificate. Yeah, as Kevin said, I've been coaching in Cliff for a couple of years. So actually, like currently I'm working with all the academies, U8, U9, U10, U11, extra development, U12, U13. So yeah, I'm like very happy working
here. Very happy to have you. And then we've also got Adam on the call as well, who's the assistant technical director and assistant TD and the academy director at Mountain. Adam, you just want to say a quick hello so everyone knows who you are?
Yeah, hi. My name's Adam Hayne. I'm, as Kevin said there, heavily involved with the sort of technical side of Mountain United, and some of you will probably see me around the fields a little bit, especially with the 2010s and 11s. Really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be really exciting. Had some fantastic conversations with Kevin about the future and the sort of levels that we can achieve here with this partnership. So yeah, really excited about this.
Right on, thank you. And then we've also got to the Mountain Technical Director, Lee, on the line.
Cheers, Kev. Hello, everyone. Lee Tragonian, Technical Director at Mountain United. I've been the TD now for about, I think it's coming up to 8 years. Like Adam just said, very excited about the official, or now official partnership, I should say. We've always had great relationships with Cliff Avenue, with Kevin and his staff. So now it's more official and more professional. It's an exciting journey to look out for. So thanks for having us today, Kev.
No problem. And yeah, and hopefully everyone on the line knows me, Kevin, and the technical director of Cliff Avenue. A lot of the kids a lot of the parents' kids are on this line right now. Will have hopefully seen you since U6. And then for those that are relatively new to the club, yeah, just hopefully you can put a face to the name. Yeah, but 10 years at the club, and it's a wonderful, special place, a special club, community club that obviously we've got a great relationship with Mountain to push on players to realise their highest potential. And of course that goes for every single player at the club. We just want every kid at the club to reach their highest potential and enjoy the game for the life. I think that is something that we continue to strive to do. Anyway, so that's us, and I'm just going to move on. Hopefully everyone will have had a good read through this, but I'm just going to let everyone on the line again have another read through it. I'll give everyone a couple minutes just to read through it, and then I'm just going to focus on them 6 bullet points. Okay, everyone. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please type it into the chat, and we're going to address those at the very end. But we'll go start with number one. And again, the whole point, everyone, for this parents meeting is to make sure that you come away from this meeting with a better understanding of how this relationship is going to work. And as Lee mentioned earlier, we've had a relationship for years, but now it's even more strategic, even more close and tight knit, which again is a very exciting time for players in Burnaby, and especially Cliff Avenue being the biggest club in Burnaby. And again, it will start and has already started. Okay, I think that should be highlighted right there, is that scouting and training the Cliff Avenue players in preparation for intake to Mountain. Be it at U13 is traditionally when we would promote kids onto the Mountain setup. But as you'll have realised with bullet point number 4, that Mountain is going to be looking at players at U11, U12. But scouting players, like you will see Mountain staff at Cliff Avenue games on a more regular basis. You'll see them at training sessions, okay, and they're watching players help in early identification for talent that would be beneficial to be in a Mountain environment versus Cliff Avenue, whereas Cliff Avenue doesn't have that BCSBL franchise, but we are part of the pathway to get kids again to that highest level they can go for. So that's already happened. And again, something that as a professional, like I'm looking forward to having an even more close relationship with Lee and Adam in aligning our technical curriculums. I certainly don't see them being miles apart, but as far as having that player profile and how we accomplish that mission and getting those players that we're looking to develop, it just starts with better dialogue and more meetings. But again, it's actually quite exciting when you think about it. So, and I'll just throw up a quick example of what, when we talk about technical curriculum and what people will look at and think about, like this is just an example for a lot of the players that have come, that should be on this line here. You'll have gone through the U10 Academy, and this is the Cliff Avenue technical curriculum for a U10. Okay, so this is some of the ideas that we go through that, again, I certainly don't see them being different than the topics that Mountain go through, but going down to the very bottom and what those lesson plans will look like, that's where the collaboration really comes to front, and on how we're going to really develop these players with these topics. So, and I'm just going to throw up Mountain example. So like these sort of lesson plans, we see the sports session plans, like these are the things that we're going to be what we'll be discussing on how best to deliver those programs to these age groups, so that we're all on the same page and we're trying to develop the players with the most cutting edge, quite frankly, research. Right, we're very sports science forward here. We continue to monitor trends on how to develop the best players and where those trends are coming from. So that's something that we'll, like, in communication, that's an exciting part of this relationship. And again, like going through that the document that I just had up there a second ago, like, Cliff Avenue coaches at the moment, yes, they've got access to coach education resources such as the curriculum that's available to coaches on their team pages, that's got like a whole season's worth of lesson plans. They've got access to bite-sized coaching. Again, this relationship will again enable, volunteer coaches access to even more coach education resources, which again is going to be a good thing. Okay, and the coaching support, I think that to me is part of the reason I'm very excited, because at Cliff Avenue, we do send out the staff to meet up with the volunteer coaches throughout the ages from U6 up to U18. That's a lot of teams because we're such a large club. We do focus on the younger age groups, the U6 to U12s, but there's still the really pulling together of resources to support volunteer coaches and have more contact time with players is particularly exciting to me, because again, it just will overall help everyone's experience in the football community. Number 4 there, the U11, U12 division, Cliff Avenue U11, U12 Division 1 teams working collaboratively closely with the MUFC U11, U12 Division 1 teams. Again, like year after year, this will be easier. I think this transition year, I think Adam and Lee will probably think the same thing, where we will get a good set of teams out. But again, going forward in the future, having this relationship will only allow us to prepare these teams even more so. And how that will look, again, like the technical collaboration, we've kind of mentioned that previously on what those, like those meetings will take place to make sure that we're all on the same page on how we want to develop those players and what methods we use. But again, and a big one as well, we'll be having a mountain staff coach within our extra development programs run at Cliff Avenue. I know that even, like, again, this is happening now, everyone. Like, I know that mountain staff will make an effort to be out to the U10s, the 2012s academy on a Monday night as early as next week. It certainly will be in the new year. And again, something that also is very exciting, that any player that perhaps doesn't go into the mountain setup at U11, at U12, or even at U13, we want to be clear that we're going to continue to work with those players, that there's still that pathway for them to get to reach that level. So one of the things that would happen is, for example, like the 2010s, we would have a mountain staff coach working with our, next season, our U13 academy, and we'd have a mountain staff coach working within that academy. So again, that gives those players the visual that there's eyes on them, that they're being looked at on a weekly basis, but has also given them exposure to, again, great training that will only complement the Cliff Avenue staff coaches at these programs as well. Lee, do you want to hop in on anything to add to these 6 points that stand out?
Thanks, Paul. No, I think you said it all, Kev. It's pretty straightforward. It's the biggest thing is, like you said, was communication between two clubs is going to be at a different standard now, and more importantly, having staff, especially from our club, working within Cliff Avenue, is going to be a benefit for all. I think we got some great staff. I'm not saying you haven't got great staff, but we got some great staff that can benefit the club as well, and it's almost like we're working as one, which is a massive positive. And it's been a long time coming, to get here, and we're excited now. And Kev, obviously, we've chatted about where we want to see the club and the district in a whole in years to come. And it's an exciting move, and it's just massive beneficially. I know you said you wanted to answer questions, Kev, at the end. The one that came through just now is part of this bullet point. So, want me to answer it, or do you want to leave till the end?
Let's have a look here. It's
just about academies, it is.
All right, yeah. Let's have a quick read.
It's one of the points,
Oh, yeah, please go ahead and answer it. Yeah, go ahead and answer it.
So obviously this is Adam's area of expertise at our club. Adam, he sees everything down from U12 and down as the assistant TD. But Adam, I can answer this one, of course. There has been an academy running. It's been running most of last year when we were allowed to with COVID. It's every Sunday. And Andre, this is to you, so I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, just type away again. It's still running. We've got one session left, Dad. 2 sessions. Two left. 4th or 5th of December, whatever the Sunday is the last day. And we're going to start back up then early January. The details are on our website. So you mentioned in there that kids are invited to mountain sessions. It'll depend what age group, but this age group, anyone can sign up. It's open. And in the past, they were recommended by Cliff Avenue for our intakes, but everything's changed now. Yes, we had recommendations, but we also got different levels within the academy also. So anyone's welcome to sign up. It will be part of the evaluation process for the new intake teams, which start next year. The CSA, the Canadian Soccer Association, and BC Soccer recently adjusted the evaluation document, which took away tryouts basically. Nobody's allowed to advertise for tryouts anymore, or evaluations, whatever you want to call them. So the only way basically we can do it is via people signing up to our academies. Adam and other staff out at games watching you in your own environment and training sessions. So that's, you know, another reason why you'll see MUFC staff out and about. There is a cost, always prorated if you're not there from the start, but it's basically $20 a session, $21 a session. Let me know if there's more.
Tell you what, we've done really well not to get too many questions here, guys. Surely there's more questions. Surely. Type away, fellas. Type away.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Kev, do you want to answer it mentions philosophy of cliff and mountain. Do you want to answer the multiple sports question from Scott? And then I'll answer the
I'm not seeing this chat here. I've got, it's to
The
everyone.
second one, the second question.
Yeah. Go on,
Okay,
I'll go until you find it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So Scott, to answer that, basically every player at Mountain, I'd go as far as saying every player, 95% at least, play multiple sports. We do encourage it. What do you got to use your benefit? Yes, it is beneficial to a certain extent. Obviously, overloading, as we call it, overdoing, we have a periodization plan in place that we advise the parents and players about how many sessions a week you should be doing. That includes other sports. Obviously, there's another guideline in, what's a good cross sport as well when it comes to soccer. How do you square? That when kids play 4 and sometimes 5 days a week. I can tell you now we have players at our club that play 7 days a week. A lot of our players also go for top up individual training at academies. As you're aware, there's too many academies out there now, but there are some good ones, which we have good relationships with, which we can advise on which academy we think suits our philosophy that will benefit your kid and your player there. Will a player at this age who misses academy because of another sport be at a disadvantage? No, as long as we get to see them at one point. Again, the academy is used for evaluation right now. If we see that player in his own game environment or in a training session at Cliff, for example, and Adam, identifies that player, then missing the academy is not a big deal. But we would like to see that player at one point within the academy. Even if it's, a drop-in kind of scenario, we don't want it to be a drop-in, but if, there's another sport happening on that day, we'll definitely work with you. You just need to email us and we can go from there. I hope that covers everyone, Scott. Is there a difference with you there, Kev, and multiple sport? And
No, not at all. As far as, again, like if you're not coming to a Cliff Avenue Academy, it is only one of the pillars that we're looking at to identify a player. Like, we're like there'll be staff coach feedback during game observations. There'll be, like if you're not coming to an academy, but you're attending, maybe doing summer camps or winter spring camps or spring training or like the staff watching games. And again, we'll always be out there. So it's not by any means the end of the world. If you don't attend an academy, does it automatically mean that you're not going to be in consideration? Absolutely not. Right. Ben, is this an exclusive arrangement between MUFC and CFUFC? Is that what I'm looking at? Even other feeder clubs or vice versa? Well, this is a strategic relationship that essentially puts, I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but this puts our relationship on another level than anyone else. So we are Cliff Avenue is looking to promote our players to Mountain. I mean, I can even tell you that I've when I get approached from other BCSPL franchises, like Mountain are well aware of those players that are of that BCSPL level. So that's who we would like to see them to go and play for. Of course, if Mountain choose not to take that particular player, then and they want to go somewhere else, I'm happy to have a conversation with other franchises. But we're certainly, from a Cliff Avenue perspective, we're not bringing in any other BCSPL franchises to come look at players on an invitational basis. We're looking to work with Mountain.
Yeah. To add to that, Ben, I think the way I'm reading it is basically, is there any other clubs feeding into Mountain? We are responsible for having good relations with all clubs in the Burnaby district. That's all 5 clubs, I believe: Cliff, South Burnaby, Burnaby Girls, Westburn, and New West. We have reached out, since I took over as technical director. It's been 8 years, like I said earlier, and always been open to have relationships. And Cliff has always led the way in promoting players, in communication barriers. Like we've always had a good relationship. Some of the other clubs haven't taken that on and acted in the same manner, if you like, knowing that it is what it is. But Mountain is top of the pyramid, the pathway in the Burnaby district. We have the BCSPL national license, or the National Club Youth license. Nobody else does in Burnaby at the moment. So if your club only has Div 1 as the top level, then and they don't work with us, then players still find their way to us. But sometimes it can be 1, 2, 3 times 3 years down the road. But at the moment, Cliff Avenue is the first one to have an official partnership with us. And to be open and frank, South Burnaby is also looking to do that, but not at the same level as Cliff Avenue. We sort of set ourselves up to support in whatever way that they want, because all kids should have that chance to go and play at the top level. But Cliff Avenue is the only one that's gone into this amount of detail and put the work in to have this sort of collaboration. South Burnaby hasn't, but there is something in the pipeline with them, but that's it so far. I hope that answered your question, Ben.
What is the impact, if any, for non-academy players at Cliff Avenue?
That's the most important.
Yeah, I would say like that. We're hoping that we're going to raise the level of every single player at Cliff. Like that this relationship will allow us to realize that the coaching standard and the playing standard, and the overall club operation standard. So I think, like, regardless of if you're going to play up for Mountain in the future or if you're not, this relationship will benefit every player. And just going back to a point that was touched on earlier, like the sheer volume of teams that we've got at the club. Like, yes, we do our staff visits, but there's not enough staff coaches at Cliff Avenue to get round to all the teams in a timely manner. Like, we would love to see every team once a month or every couple of weeks, but we just don't have the manpower. And so one of the key points of this relationship is that, as Lee said, like Cliff Avenue, we've got a great staff. Mountain, they got some great staff, and that relationship that we'll have with Mountain is that we'll get some Mountain staff working with our Cliff Avenue volunteer coaches at training sessions throughout the week, and of course that will impact, like the top players, but also the players that are just emerging and still developing. So it'll be a good impact.
Adam, I think the next one was, Scott says, thanks. iPhone to everyone. You mentioned the academy starts again in the new year. Do you want to let them know the...
Yep, I can do that. So when would MUFC Cliff Avenue tell parents, players whether they made the team, which division. So we're basically looking at the intake 2010 team and the 2011, 2012 boys and girls teams being formed by the end of March. So just to follow on what Lee was saying there about the restart of the academy is the 9th of January, and we'll run for only 8 weeks. So 8 weeks in that period is when we're going to be looking at, forming those teams. And I think the most important point really for as a parent point of view is that, as a coach, a coaching staff, and the lead of that coaching staff, I want to make sure that you understand, everybody understands, that we'll be very honest and transparent about everything that is being sort of decided, so that it's a lot less stress for the players and the parents. So we'll be very, very clear about how things are going and, what the setup is. I myself am the intake girls coach for 2010s. So I'll be speaking with a lot of parents, and Dave, who's the 2010 boys coach, he'll be doing the same as I will, making sure that players and parents understand their position. And when we get to the point of making decisions and having to hand out, the offers to players, that those players that, are not part of that, or we have a different route for them where it comes to training players or something like that, that will be very, very clear for everybody. We don't leave anybody behind.
Adam, can you just repeat that one more time? You'll be looking to send invitations out to players by the end of January, February? Well,
in theory, the new rules that are stated that this January the 17th is when any offers can be made. Before that, you cannot.
Right. So I would get perfect, because
it's not all done on January the 17th.
Certainly not.
From January the 17th, and the roster needs to be finished by the 1st of March. But, we're a very organized club, and we would like to be ahead of the curve with everybody, but not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of the players and the parents, so they understand where they fit, and there's no, chaos or confusion about what's happening.
Yeah. And then just I'll answer that question as well for us. Like, we typically have our U11, U12, U13. We have our rosters finalized before spring break, which is in March. So again, obviously we'll be in dialogue with Mountain to ensure that they've got everything they need before we finalize our rosters. But again, that's an ongoing communication between ourselves, so that we just want to make sure it's as seamless and as possible, really. So
Patrick's question:
is MUFC Academy replacing the academy, Cliff's Academy? No, it's they're running simultaneously. But again, what we will do is we'll have the technical curriculums will align, so that we'll be able to, again, the programming will complement one another. And again, to be clear, there's they're on different nights. That's for one thing. But kids can do different academies as well. There's not they're not bound to one or the other. But certainly, as Lee alluded to, yes, it's a part of the identification process for Mountain. But at the same time, there'll be Mountain staff at a Cliff Avenue Academy as well, which is a part of the identification process. So replacing is not the word I'd use. It's more of a complementary. I think that to be is more complementary and collaborative is the best word I would describe it as far as replacing. It's going to be a collaborative endeavor.
Yeah, I agree. At this moment in time, it is separate, not replacing. Our academy at the moment we have players from maybe not this year, but in the past, we've had players from the Sunshine Coast, Vancouver Island, Surrey, Langley, Fraser Valley, Coquitlam, all over the Lower Mainland that come to our academy. So I was just sort of open to anyone. I know, I'm sure, is Cliff's open to anyone, or is that more in-house, Kev?
No, only Cliff Avenue players
there
will play in Cliff Avenue Scribbing Out programs.
Yeah. So and then we have to cater obviously for the other Burnaby clubs as well. So ours is open, but not replacing. It's going to be staying where it is for now. So, ting ting.
There's a
Next.
plan for you to say our kids at Cliff Division. No, that they're two separate levels. The BCSPL that what Mountain runs at U13 is the highest level for player at U13, and Cliff Avenue's Division 1 is the second highest. So there is no Metro program anymore, if that's a familiar term to anyone on the call. The Metro program and Division 1 have been combined. So so they are separate leagues, separate divisions. But again, I can only emphasize that with this relationship being what it is now, even more close, that the 2010s that do not go into Mountain at U13, they're going to have continued contact with Mountain staff as well as Cliff Avenue staff in our academies. So again, like our U13 boys academy that currently runs on a Friday night, will, in addition to Cliff Avenue staff, we'll have Mountain staff there as well. On the U13 girls academy on a Saturday, in addition to Cliff Avenue staff, we'll have Mountain staff as well. So like and Lee will tell you right now that I don't even know if it's ever happened. If the intake 18 have gone from U13 to all the way up to U18, it doesn't happen. There's constantly players moving up, moving down, and so this relationship again is just even more beneficial for those players that are at Cliff that still have aspirations to playing at the high level, because they will be exposed to Mountain coaches while they're still at Cliff Avenue. Hope that answers the question there.
Yeah, the only time that scenario changes is training player position. Some players, if they don't make the MUFC team, the Mountain team, may end up in Div 1 with Cliff or another club. But there's also an option if the coach decides of the MUFC team to be a training player, and you also attend training through the week and get permitted for games every now and again if it doesn't clash with your let's say Cliff Avenue team. There's that option, but that's the only way that you would play, with both teams. I hope that answers as well. Andre, since Cliff Avenue is part of Mountain, what is going to happen to South Burnaby Soccer, Westburn? What feeder clubs will be part of MUFC and Cliff? Okay, so I think I answered this earlier, but all the Burnaby clubs are feeder teams to Mountain, to the top level there. All the players that are good enough. That doesn't change. It's just we have a more prominent relationship with Cliff Avenue because that's what Cliff Avenue chose to do. All the other clubs have the same option, but not all clubs are. I'll say it. All clubs are not as invested in player development as Cliff Avenue are. So there is a relationship with all the other clubs in Burnaby, but not as, like I said, detailed as Cliff.
And again, to Lee's point, like, yes, we want to be part. We want to have that close relationship with Mountain, and Mountain's very keen to be, like as Lee said, to be with us because we're so invested in the pathway and getting the players the best soccer experience as possible. Let's see what comes up next. Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. What relationship?
For the North Vancouver one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty straightforward, that one, Andre. Obviously, we were based up until last year. Our club was made up of North Vancouver or North Shore District and Burnaby District. Now we are just a Burnaby District club because North Vancouver have the same license as us to run a BCSPL franchise in the league, and they were accepted into the league. But they only have the U13 age group, the intake age group. They don't have any teams older, so they're going to be grandfathered in, as they call it. So every year they'll add a team. So at the moment, it's just U13. Next year, they'll have U13, U14. And the year after, and so on and so forth. So we still have a relationship with all of those age groups that they don't have. It's just the U13 age group. We don't have, you know, sort of access, if you like, to any players that will want to be playing for Mountain. There's no relationship there, but anything from U14 or 2008 born players up until 2004 born are still partnership with Mountain United. I hope that makes sense.
I think that does, yeah.
I like that question.
Yeah.
Dina.
Yeah.
Dina, we, like Adam said earlier on, we're very transparent. We don't know. That's the way it is. We don't know. The CSA have thrown in the last 2 years so much at us as clubs, from governance and technical courses, the youth license course, children's license courses, and they all want all our coaches educated on these licenses. And part of the mandates were, oh, somebody's off mute there. Yeah, mute everyone, Kev. Part of the mandate, part of the thing they brought out was that national club license I talked to you about. And one of those, I call it tick the box, if you like.
Oh, sorry,
You
Lee.
muted me. I got it. I'm back. One of the tick the box processes that the CSA put in place as part of the national club license was to have a skill center. Okay, and the skill center is U12 and down, U12, U11, and in years to come, U10, 9, all the way down to 8. So U8s to U12s. At the moment, they just want us to have a U11, U12 team, which we're in the process of creating, as Adam said. They still haven't told us which league we're going to be playing in. They have mentioned the BC Coastal Soccer League that are going to run it for the CSA. They haven't told us if it's going to be a different tier to, you know, a Cliff Avenue, for example, or if we might even be playing in the same league. That's how disorganized they are, to tell you the truth. And then to round it off, the technical director, as I call him, of the CSA, Jason DeVos, who I get on with, is actually the assistant coach of the men's national team right now. So all of these licensing points that he's put on the table and all these skill centers, and nothing's being done with him because he's off for the national team. So we're in limbo right now. We're still waiting for the answer, but they want it started next year. And that's the truth. I hope that answers your question.
I think it does, because, like I said, you can only provide information that you've got.
That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
The evaluation tab.
Got that.
Do you want me to
Well,
do
Scott, I can jump in right now, and it's actually on. We've actually discussed, you and I, the process of feedback, and I believe, like, for your two boys, for example, who are attending Cliff Avenue Academy sessions, they'll receive their report card with the staff coach feedback on the last session before Christmas. So what that will have a breakdown of things that that a player's doing well, and things that they can do to improve on. So that's what Cliff Avenue does, when that's what we're doing this year. So you'll receive that report card for any player that's in an extra development program. They'll get like something on the last day of the program before Christmas, and that should help with the player development. Okay,
I'll answer it in the way of Mountain, if you like. So if it's outdoor evaluations happen with Mountain, it's the CSA again have gone to this year-round evaluation system instead of tryouts. So again, Mountain coaches in your training sessions, in your games, if you're a part of our academy, we will not be running advertised official evaluations. If you are in our academy, though, there might be an extra session here and there we might put on just to see that age group that we need to see to select our teams. But that's it at the moment. We're not allowed to do anything else. So it's an all year round. Feedback wise, we always give feedback. Adam's on the ball. There'll always be feedback, and yes, you know, if that player's not ready yet, they'll be sent away with whatever they need to do. If it's a Cliff Avenue player, you know, and it'll be told to that Cliff Avenue coach. There's always communication or feedback to Kevin. Kevin tells the coach, and so on. But there's always the communication going on to make sure that the feedback's given.
Yeah, I mean, they would be getting the feedback, but again, like we've certainly passed on the information that it's available to anybody to join the Mountain Academy. So I've also had conversations with Adam on certain players that he should be looking at, be it during games. But if a player is interested in playing at that level, then they should be playing as much as possible, right? That's, you know, they should be accumulating that time with the ball. So you know, playing the Cliff Avenue Academy, playing the Mountain Academy. There's other academies out there as well. I'll just read the rest of this question. I noticed that there are two groups of players. The players that don't rotate much in each group in the Monday Night Academy. With the players that don't rotate much, and again, that has to do with the feedback, because we want to give that meaningful feedback, because there are, on the Boys Academy on a Monday night for U10s, there are 33 players in that group. So we do try to keep the players in relative close contact with a particular coach for the duration of a program, just so that the feedback is meaningful, versus if it was a mixing and matching of players throughout the whole program. A staff coach might not be able to really build a relationship and understand how a player is developing as much. But they do rotate. But again, like it's like they don't rotate as much because it would be harder for a staff coach to provide that meaningful feedback if it was a new group of 10 or 12 kids every single Monday.
Can I add something, Kevin?
Yeah, please, Nico.
Yeah, also talking about the U10s. Also, that's why, for example, personally, I'm watching every weekend on U10 games, all the U10 games, boys and girls, to have the real feedback. So sometimes on the academy, we can have like one specific situation with one specific group, but then during the game day on Saturday or Sunday, depending on boys or girls, maybe it's a different scenario. So that's why, as a club, we are sending like staff coaches to watch the games. Also, Kevin is coming like a couple of times to watch the game, so we can give them like their real, like proper feedback that they deserve, not just one evaluation, one specific day.
I've already noticed that a player from their academy would not make it would be productive to tell that player not bother with them in academy. Not at all. And again, it just goes back to my previous point about if a player loves the game and wants to get better at it, then you put in the time, right? And certainly it should be the player's passion to want to do it. You know, like if a player didn't want to do extra training, then by no means should a parent ever force them to do more. But if a kid is keen to get better, and they are attending the Monday Night Academy, and they also want to do the Mountain Sunday Night Academy, and that was something that your family could do, then I would definitely recommend that to a player, even if they weren't, you know, maybe at that level right now. But again, every player develops at different rates, so that's what they need to get to the next level. Like I've got like a poster boy like story of like a kid not making, you know, the U11 division like select program, and then he didn't make the Division 1 program at U12, and then at come U13 he was Metro, and come U14 he was BCSPL, right? So like, and he was never misplaced ever. Like he was put in the environment that was best suited for his development for long term, and that player, he would do every single training session he possibly could. Like, he was going to everything. So it really is, I put it back to, like, if the player wants to do the training, then it's the right thing to do.
You want me to take the next two questions here?
Yeah, please.
So the requirements of the minimum requirements, there's no minimum requirement from the Burnaby area. The makeup of the teams is open to pretty much anybody these days, with the restrictions being lifted. So there's no minimum number. It's, you know, we would like to see more Burnaby players, you know, pushed up to the higher level. Of course, it's our district and we want to promote that as much as we can. So there is no minimum number, but yeah, I mean, we look at all the players that we've got and pick the best team we can for our club. So and it says how many players in each MUFC team. So with the intake team, it's a full squad, so, you know, 17, 18 players, maybe plus some training players, could be anywhere up to sort of 19, 20, but, you know, the main roster is 17 to 18 players. With the younger age groups, 2011, 2012, most likely, you know, 12, 13, 14 players, maybe some training players in there as well. So it will depend very much on what the CSA tells us is required, but we don't know that 100% for now. It also depends on what the format is, whether it's 9v9 or 8v8 or but something along those lines.
Yeah, I'll jump in on the minimum number as well. Just for those of you that, you know, don't know the soccer landscape that well, the BCSPL, so the league that Mountain play in, there's never been any district rules. You can play from anywhere. There was, and Kevin, you can educate me on this because I don't know if it's come into play yet. Any level below, so Metro used to be the highest level. It still is up and down until U13 age group, and then it's Div 1 now, which Cliff Avenue run. I believe there was 5 out of district players allowed, Kev.
That is correct, yeah.
And has it come into play where it's now open? There's no districts?
No, it's kind of, again, the metro level is getting phased out, so it's not really an issue. But what is, I suppose, from Cliff Avenue's perspective, is that we'd always have at least, I think it's more for field rentals is how we get that, how the city gives us our fields, whereas we require a minimum number of Burnaby residents. So that's can play a part in it, but with Cliff Avenue very rarely has more than just a couple out of Burnaby players. Yeah.
The bullet point ones.
Oh yeah, I'll just Marco's, because again, I do think I do think this is probably, like, bullet point number 4. I do think is probably the one that should be getting more questions on how this will look. Again, like U11, U12, and it's not 2010. 2010 is going into U13, so it's the 2011, 2012 birth years. Like Cliff Avenue Mountain will have a Division 1 team at U11, U12, and Cliff Avenue will have a Division 1 team at 2011 and 2012, and how those teams are made. And again, like as Adam spoke earlier, they'll have those teams made sometime after mid-January, and then we of course will have ours done as soon as those rosters are confirmed. We'll have ours made, and again, like just repeating what Lee had said earlier, like we don't know what leagues they'll be playing in. There's a possibility they could be playing against each other, but there's also a possibility they won't be. But again, I just would focus more on the fact that Cliff Avenue anyway is we've got such large birth years, that if you remove some players, it's not the end of the world, so to speak. Like, I don't want to put like end of the world, but like it's going to impact, yes, but it won't, for the benefit of the age group, it won't have as big of an impact as I think some people might think it will. So how do players get chosen for Cliff at U11, U12? Again, like it's Adam is out scouting games, Mountain staff are out scouting games. There's kids attending the Mountain Sun Academy. There'll be mountain staff at the Monday Night Academy for Cliff Avenue coming up, and that's it. Like that's, I'm repeating ourselves here, but that's right, Adam. Like that's, I would say that's pretty much the gist, right?
Yes, mate, that's correct. Yeah, I'll be attending on Monday night to the to Cliff Academy. But you're totally right.
Yeah. Mark, does that answer your question there? What are they going to do with field rental?
Okay, if I answer that one there, JW. We already have our field allocation, if you like, from years past. We also have time on in North Vancouver, which we will probably be, again, grandfathered out of. We're not too concerned about it, as we do spend a lot of money up at SFU, which is a private field. We rent both fields up there to make up for the field time. But even then, we are pretty good for field time right now. Could everyone do with more? Absolutely. If anyone wants to build a field, then carry on. We'll definitely rent it off you. But other than that, we're pretty good for the amount of Burnaby kids we have in the club is pretty high anyway. So, you know, it's more the club, how many Burnaby kids are in the club, I believe, not just the team. So, you know, we have plenty of field time right now. So it works. Just looking at the next question. Sorry, Marco. You know, we've spoken in detail, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, ads. You know, the way I look at this, the amount of players that are in those age groups, I really think both clubs can have quality 2012 Div 1 teams if it came to it. Like, I really do. You know, the rosters that Mountain are looking at are only 11 lads, 12, 11.
12, yeah.
12 players. If you look at the amount of players currently at Cliff Avenue in that 2012 age group, there should be enough to create two strong, you know, rosters of 12 at least. So I don't foresee any issues. And yes, I think what it could come down to, and this is just an idea, we haven't confirmed it, you know, looking at position specific too. You know, maybe, you know, Mountain takes two centre backs and Cliff takes two centre backs. At that age, it's not about results, really. You know, it's just about development, and the way the CSA are going now is more free play, fun. You know, you turn up and just play games. It's not about, you know, the shouting and yelling from the sidelines. It's more making decisions yourself, making mistakes yourself. It's really going back to when I was, you know, back to the early 80s, where it wasn't robotic, constant direction from coaches. This is what you got to do. This is how you do it. You know, gone are the days where you do pick up soccer in the park with your friends. So that's where the CSA want to go to this with these U11, U12 teams, is pick 11 players. They don't have to be the best players. It's, you know, it could be just interest, and turn up and play games against everyone else, and we make them better. That's our job. You know?
Again, Lee and Adam, like, and for those of you on the call here, like, going back to the relationship that we will have with these younger age groups, like, you'll have more than 11 or 12 kids on the U13 team. All right, like that roster, as we've said before, is 17 kids. So those players that are U11, U12 Mountain, the players that are making up the rest of that roster come U13, more likely than not, are coming from Cliff Avenue. So that is why we're having that relationship with Mountain, so they are involved with those Division 1 teams at Cliff Avenue, because those players, if they're not Mountain right at this moment in time at U11, U12, they very well could become U13. So, like, it's going to be a very high standard, because we're going to improve every player.
Kevin.
Yeah.
And also like we, for families like at our club, we want to have a really like open communication between staff, I say staff, Mountain and Cliff, and the families, like to tell them, okay, this is the reality. So this is the real actual situation for your kid at this point. So we got, and starting this point, we're gonna improve, try to improve the kids' skills. But the most important thing is like we're gonna have an open communication, so you will know if you are making mountain, or we will tell you if you are making the Cliff team. So that's the most important part.
And part of the reason why we're having this meeting right now, everyone, because we wanted to make sure that when this press release came out, that everyone had, you know, if there were any questions, and obviously there have been, that we'd be able to answer them.
Yeah, I think, you know, just to add to that, Kev, not everyone's comfortable asking questions. You know, there's no stupid question, as they say. Like, if you want to take it offline, you know, my details are all on our website at Mountain United, mufc.ca. Like, you can reach out, call, email anytime, Adam as well. And Kevin, obviously, you know, you have that relationship anyway. If there's any questions, just reach out anytime you want.
Before I forget, everyone, is it all right if I'm just going to launch a quick poll here, and just let me know who's listening on who's participating in this call here, because I'd just be curious to know, you know, if you're a 2010, you know, boy, girl of the club or anything like that. But we'll just leave it for a minute, if you could. Is it going?
I'll just add into that what Lee just said there. I'll just put my email address and cell into the text chat. So if there are any conversations or questions you might have, then feel free to send me an email, or, you know, if you want to give me a call during the day at some point, then go ahead.
I think I run this poll correctly. I've never really run a poll, everyone. I mean, are you able to click on a box and say if you're, you know, a 2010 boy or girl, or 2011? Is that not coming up right?
Yeah, I can click on
and then
something.
submit.
Yeah,
I've got to stop it for it to come through. All right, we'll end it then.
Three girls, Marco. Oof, 2010 and 2015. Busy. I think I'll answer that question as well whilst we're carrying on here. Any plan to have more MUFC Academy training days? Not at the moment. It's just the one. So many other academies out there at the moment, and the players seem to be so busy through the week. The one seems to be enough, based on our research. And then obviously when our skill center launches, so 11s and 12s next year, that will be a full-time program, and that will be 2, maybe 3 sessions a week plus a game.
It's working. Yeah.
It's working though.
And again, like just to repeat what Lee said, if maybe you think of a question that you didn't think of until you get home, like just drop us a line.
have a new question from
Matt?
Matt.
What about this in weekly sessions? As far as the number of sessions, I don't think anything really. You go 3 times a week for Div 1, I'd imagine, or
Yeah, there is, we have mandates, and I know the mandate, the minimum is 2 sessions a week plus a game.
yeah.
You know, me and Adam are constantly trying to figure out how to get that 3rd session in. We might opt, and again, this is just ideas. Again, we're very open. It's not confirmed, but we might do a futsal session.
Yeah.
To make up for the, you know, the 3rd session right now. But again, the issues are renting gyms with this COVID situation going on still is a problem. So we can't confirm that yet, but it'll be a minimum of 2 sessions plus a game. Maximum of 3 sessions, I should say, plus a game.
So yeah, to Matt, there'd be no difference, really. Yeah, on that poem, appreciate that. I'll give it another minute. Anyone, if you got